Hello.
Hello. I'm trying to find the play, join, and leave song. Get rid of that.
The bad guy stole the man, but who did the bad guy steal the man away from? I'm so confused. How are you confused?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. We are waiting about 1 more minute for us to get everybody in. Please take no offense to me muting you. Okay. In the interest of time, I would like for us to begin. So I'll continue to let people in as we go. But I also want to start so that we have an opportunity to hopefully finish on time. And if there's any questions at the end, we want to make sure we leave some space for that. So thank you again for coming. It's an important meeting, and I'm glad that you're here. My name is Kevin Bruni. I'm the athletic director at Grand Rapids Christian Middle School, also the assistant AD at the high school. Privileged to serve Grand Rapids Christian in 5th through 12th grade athletics. And it's an honor to be here with you. Thank you for your time and for being here. I'd like to start us with a word of prayer. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with parents and families that represent you and represent Grand Rapids Christian. May we hear from each other. May we work together. May we all have a special measure of grace and patience as we go through youth sports in the Winter One season. Sports can bring out the best. It can bring out the worst in us, Lord. And we just pray that you help all of us to handle the hard part of youth sports better. It's not going to get easier, but it's something that we can pay attention to and do a great job. Help us to do that. Bless the families, bless all of the people that enter our gyms, and bless our coaches. Thank you for sending them to us to lead our kids this year. In your name we pray. Amen. Okay. I'm going to get started by putting something on the screen for everybody to see. So I think you can see my my screen up there. Just give me a little thumbs up if you can. That would help me understand that we are good to go. Thank you. So I'm gonna get started here. So this is our 2023 Zoom meeting, and I'm glad to be here with you. If it's possible for you to keep your video on, that's always helpful for me because I can gauge reactions, make sure I'm not, missing something or doing something wrong. Or if I ask for a feedback, then I know that things are happening well. So if you can do that, that's always really helpful for me. So on here, there's some ways to connect to Grand Rapids Christian Athletics. I'd encourage you to get involved in that. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook. Get the Eagle Sport Report, which is a daily thing happening for our high school. It's just great to be connected to our high school program and an opportunity to know what's going on, maybe visit some events, things like that. So hopefully that's something you can get connected to. So please email Carolyn if you get a chance to do that. So a couple ways for us to get connected. Next is just a quick overview of like the philosophy of what we're trying to do together through middle school athletics. What we believe here is that middle school athletics is a place to play, to learn, to grow, to make mistakes, to improve, to mess up, to gain clarity on if you like a sport or not, or how serious you want to be about a sport or not, to develop relationships, and have the opportunity to demonstrate all of that through play against other schools. Our coaches, what we're trying to do with our coaches is to make sure that we're teaching students, that we're challenging students, that we're encouraging them, that we're not just telling them the things they want to hear, but the things they need to hear. And sometimes that can be some challenging things. We want to encourage them as well, develop skills, teach strategies of the game, give kids a chance to succeed and fail in game opportunities. And of course, we want to try to win. But that is certainly not the first thing that I put in our philosophy. One thing I want everybody to understand is that it's a 5th through 12th grade view in Grand Rapids Christian Athletics. We don't win state championships in 5th grade. We don't win state championships in 8th grade. Okay, what we're doing is we're a part of a development program that's from recreational sport where everything is equal all the time and it's not that serious, to the high school where things get pretty serious and we're trying to win at the highest level on our state. And in between there is middle school. It's this chance to take steps toward that more highly competitive environment, steps towards understanding playing time, steps toward understanding how to be coachable, steps towards dealing with challenge and failure and having to put in extra time. That's our goal, is to be that middle between the easiest part of athletics where everyone can do everything all the time and it doesn't really matter, to this place where we all, a lot of us hope our kids will play on a varsity level someday. And so that's what we're trying to do. It's not scholarship seeking. It's not any of these other things. It's a chance for teamwork, relationships, learning, safety, challenge, excellence, development, work ethic, managing fear, dealing with relationships on teams. That's what we're after progressing, right? Skill development, all those things. And if we can win along the way, that's fantastic. If you're interested in scholarships, make sure your kid does his homework, because there's way more money available for academic scholarships than athletic. And if your kid is good in the academic classroom, then there's a better chance they're going to have a chance at some partial sport money. Most people, 99% of people that go to college for athletics don't get full scholarships. It's about your academics. So if you care about scholarships, don't take it out on your kid, and don't take it out on our coaches this basketball season. Have them do their homework. Okay, that's the best chance you're going to get. Okay. Moving on to the next slide here is we're going to talk a little bit about basketball this year. And so these are the things we're going to talk about real quick, and then we'll move to the last section. But the first part here, I always like to show, I kind of made this little grid for you to look at. So hopefully you can understand this. On the left, we have the grade levels. Then we have team formation. How do we do team formation? Then the middle one is playing time. And then how many days a week we participate, in a couple notes underneath. So just real quick, as you can see, in 5th and 6th grade, we split teams equally, talent-wise, as best we can. There's a team formation period where we will start that the week of the 23rd. And they will try to decide, okay, who's the best players, who's the ones that need the most work, who's in the middle. Now let's draft and try to make them as equal as possible and go compete. Okay, it's a chance for everybody to play with the best players, a chance for everybody to develop excitement by playing with the best players. The thing you'll notice about playing time in all of the levels is that it's not equal. It's not recommended by the league that we're in or by our school to have equal playing time. It's not recreational athletics anymore. And I know parents, and I know that everybody wants their kid to play with the best kid, because that gives their kid a better chance to be successful. My son, I want him to play with the best players because it gives him a better chance to find success on the court, which naturally means the best players are going to play more. Okay. Now, at the same time, we got to make sure that the best players have the right attitudes, the right work ethic, they're showing up. And if they're not, they could get less playing time, even if they're the best. Okay. So there is a little caveat to that playing time thing. Just because you're the best doesn't mean you're given everything. You still have to earn that spot. You still have to earn that opportunity to be the best, play the most. But everybody will get 6 minutes of playing time as a minimum. And what our goal is that as long as you're showing up, good attitude, doing the best you can, listening to coach, encouraging teammates, we try to beat those 6 minute minimums whenever possible. Okay. But it is not guaranteed that you will get more than 6, but that is the minimum. You can see in 7th and 8th grade, we move up to a 32-minute game, a normal high school length game in basketball for boys and girls. So also as we move up to 7th and 8th grade, you see that we do developmentally appropriate teams, meaning we have an A team for the people that are the most developmentally proficient at that time, and then a B team for the others. And then 4 days a week instead of 3. Now that includes games. Okay, so that means if you have 2 games in a week, you'll have 2 practices. If you have 1 game a week in the 5th, 6th grade, you'll have 2 practices. Or if you have 2 games, you'll have 1 practice. So that's kind of how it works. But it's this stepping stone where we're getting shorter games to longer games. We're getting, equal teams to developmentally appropriate teams, right? From a couple days to a couple more days as we step towards the high school, as I told you, is part of our philosophy. Hopefully you've had a chance to read some of the things that I had in the bottom there. But one thing I have to mention, which it seems obvious, but I still have to mention it, is if you sign up to do team formation, you're signing up to be on the team. And that means even if you don't like the team you're on, it means if your friends aren't on the team, or if your team is not winning, that is not an option for you to drop. Like, you commit to us. I cannot run a program if people feel like just dropping because they don't like a thing. Okay. Like we have to count on you. And so you need to be there. We're trying to keep teams as small as possible so that we have as much playing time. But the downside of small teams is if people don't show up, we can't really get better, right? Because we don't have enough kids to practice. So we need you to show up and we need you to be there regardless of how the team is formed. Okay. Respect your coaches, respect each other. That's a big part of making sure that we do a good job with this. A couple things in the middle there. Coaches are managed by the athletic director. That's me. Even if it's a parent, they go through coach training. I check in with them. I'm managing them. We do postseason interventions, or not interventions, but reviews to kind of talk about the season, work on things to improve. Throughout the year, I'm trying to help them. I'm observing them and watching them and helping them. So I'm doing my best to do that. So please respect those coaches and the time that they're giving to have to work with me, but also to work with your kids. And that's what they sign up for. Love, care for, teach your son the game of basketball. That's it. Don't project it any different, right? Like some people think there's some agendas or something like that. No one signs up to have an agenda. That's not what they do. So please keep that kind of thought even out of your brain at all. And then the last thing is parents, don't talk to coaches about playing time. And parents, don't talk to other teams, officials, coaches about anything except encouragement. If you have an issue with another team or something like that, the best thing to do is to talk to your coach, and then your coach can talk to me about it. If you have an issue about playing time, I'd encourage you to, number one, you're going to have to wait because talking to your coach after a game is not a good idea and something we do not permit. Your coach is coached to tell you, I cannot talk to you about that right now. And so we want to make sure that we're being really respectful. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But that's kind of a sequence of how we're doing that stepping stone philosophy that I was talking about. As we look at, hold on, I got to let somebody in a minute. As we look at part 2 here of your sport, so tryouts are team formation. Just so you know, this year we're going to have 3 equal split teams in 5th grade. That's going to be 2 to 3 days of team formation. 6th grade is going to have 2 equal split teams. 7th grade will have 1 A team and 1 B team. And then 8th grade will have 2 A teams and 1 B team. Okay. So that's kind of how we're doing the splits this year and what it actually looks like. So the first part was philosophy. This is actuality of how we will actually break it up this year. 3 teams in 5th, 2 in 6th and 7th, and then there'll be 3 teams in 8th grade. And all those teams will be worked on next week, the week of the 23rd, with teams settled by the end of that week so that we can all go to our dedicated coach moving forward the week of the 30th. Okay. So let's talk about coach. Before I move on, does anybody have a question for me about philosophy or about how we're kind of doing that stepping stone approach or the way the grades are broken down or any of those things that we've talked about? If you have a question, you can type it in the chat. Actually, don't just unmute yourself because I can't reach the chat right now the way this looks on my screen. But does anybody have a question for me quick before we move on?
I have one quick question. Kevin Krondyke here. Do the B teams play other B teams and A teams play other A teams, or how does that work?
That is what the league is saying. Yep, they just sent out a note today about please tell us what division your child will be in, A or B, or like, upper or lower division for your grade. So, some of the schools, they struggle with that and they opt down because they're afraid, to play in the upper division. But yes, the structure is set so that there's supposed to be an upper and a lower division in each grade level. And one thing that I try to do is make sure if they've made a mistake, because the scheduling is a little goofy sometimes, try to approach that mistake early, see if we can get a switch, make sure things work right. Because when you have A teams or upper division teams playing lower division teams, sometimes that's not good for either team. Like it's such a blowout that it's not good for either team. And that's what we're trying to avoid with the tiered system in the league. So that is what the league has said they're going to do. And they sent that out today. So I responded with all of our information as well. Any other questions? Okay, so let's talk about the next part of our meeting here, which is working with coach and kind of being a fan and things like that, things that you know, I just got to say it, in basketball season, people get weird. Okay. I don't know what it is, but people and fans, parents, they get weird. All right. And you can say what you want, but it's true. Okay. I've been around athletics a long time as a player, as a coach, as an athletic director, and we got to talk about this stuff. All right. Just because I love you, because I love our school, we got to talk about some of this stuff. First off, the things you see on the screen right here, practice schedules. Okay. I have a screenshot here of the 7th and 8th grade, you know, black soccer team. This is what a homepage of Team Snap looks like. If you look on here, you'll see there's a roster tab, there's a schedule tab, there's a messages tab. This is kind of the home base for your team. Once we do team formation and you're put on a coach's team, the coach will load you into their Team Snap page. So you won't be attached to this for now. But once you're given a coach, then you will be put onto their screen and you're going to be put into their roster page. And they will have practices in their schedule for you to kind of know. And that will send you reminders. It's a really good thing. So you can get this app on your phone. The front page screen of the app kind of looks like this right here. You can see like, hey, there's going to be a coach meeting here. And you kind of scroll down. It's kind of like your feed. You can also click at the bottom and click on schedule, right? You can click on roster, messages, that sort of thing. So it functions really nicely on your phone, but the coach will be putting everything you need to know about your practice and game schedules on here. The league loads the game schedules in, and then we load in the practice schedules. Okay. So those things will come out. We don't have them yet because they're still figuring out, like I said, upper and lower divisions. They got to make teams and all that kind of stuff. And we don't know what team you're on, so we can't put your schedule in yet, right? So as soon as we're able to do that after next week, then we'll be able to fill up that Team Snap page for you, and that'll be the place where you go. It's also a great place to talk to coach, okay? And you will have a dedicated coach. I love all of you very much. I love seeing you at the games. I love running into you. But unfortunately, with 10 teams and about 10 people on each team, it's really hard for me to answer all of your questions. So I need you to talk to our coach with your questions. They will know 98% of the answers to your questions, and the ones they don't know, they'll just quick check with me. But it's a lot easier for me to work communication with 10 coaches than it is to work with 100 families, if that makes sense. So please work with your dedicated coach to do that kind of communication. Next on here, we're talking a little bit about playing time. As we mentioned already, not equal at any level. Some people say, oh, well, and it's supposed to be equal in 5th grade. It's not. What I will say is that we are more equal in 5th than we would be in 8th likely. And it's also dependent on the size of your team. Like in 5th grade, they're going to have about 8 kids per team. So playing time is not going to be an issue. Everybody's going to be playing more than they can handle, right? In 6th and 7th, we have about 9 to 10 kids per team. So there will be some inequity of playing time there, but still the kids are going to be needed because we don't have big teams. And in 8th grade, we're going to have about 8 or 9. So playing time shouldn't be a huge issue this year because we're going to need the kids and the size teams that we have this year. So I'm really excited about our size teams. But definitely like being able to play quite a bit is going to be happening more this year, I think. But, like I said, it's required for 6 minutes and it's up to the coach to decide that. And that is a coach's privilege to decide that. Again, the best players will play more unless they have bad attitudes, bad behavior, poor effort, or they miss practices, things like that. Then you're not guaranteed anything, right? Except your 6 minutes. So please make sure you're encouraging those things that are controllable, which is attitude, effort, behavior, attendance. Those things are totally controllable. Encourage your kids to do that. Being coachable, that's the best gift we can give to our coaches. And so playing time is something that I also, if you have an issue with playing time, I want you to be really careful. Every coach that quits coaching, I've been doing this for 18 years now, they cite the number one thing, the reason they quit is because of parents, okay? And I'm a parent, so I am the person that they're talking about, right? Just like you are a parent and you are the person they're talking about. We have to be really careful, okay? When we talk about these things, understand that there's no agenda happening. We have to treat people with respect. Most people treat their teachers or the principal at our school with respect, most people. And so my encouragement is that you be one of the most people and treat our coaches with respect. Give them the space they need, the time that they need. to be able to have these conversations well. Don't talk to them after a game. Don't talk to them about their strategy. We had people last year approach a fifth grade coach on the court in front of people, and big surprise, that coach is never going to coach for us again. Right? That's really sad. It's a younger person who wanted to learn the coaching game. And one of their experiences was that a parent approached them, yelled at them in public, and said, I'm never doing this again. This is not for me. I don't need this. I'm just trying to help fifth grade kids, you know? And so we just got to be really careful with how we manage that and manage conversations around it. So a couple things here just to give you some tips. Okay. I've been a coach for 33 seasons. I'm currently the varsity golf coach at our high school. And so I'm on the coaching side. I've also been on the AD side where I've seen a lot of this stuff go well and a lot of this stuff go bad. So here's a couple things for you. Start with trust. Benefit of the doubt is biblical. Okay? That when we see our friends, you know, somebody's messy, we say, oh, they're busy, so they're a little messy. But when we see somebody else, we say they're a disaster. Right? Make sure you see people with benefit of the doubt. These coaches have given up their time to do this multiple days a week to care for your kid and try the best they can. Please give them the benefit of the doubt with kindness. It's possible your child is not telling you the whole truth. I don't know if you know this, okay? But I know this because my 6-year-olds can manipulate me, right? They come home and they can manipulate me. And if I'm not being smart or wise, I'm like, what the heck? And I get super mad. And I'll just tell you what, like they're 6. Your kids are 11 to 14 years old. They've had 5 to 7 more years of practice at how to manipulate and get you on their side. So just remember, benefit of the doubt to the adult. Somewhere along the line when I was a kid, my parents would never give me anything. I come, coach this, coach that. They say, well, what are you going to do about it? Why are you complaining about the coach? It was never about what the coach did. Now, somewhere along the line, everything is my kid tells the truth. My kid would never lie. So this must have happened and you did something wrong. To the adult, the person who's giving up their time to help your child. So I just encourage you, be on the right side of that, benefit of the doubt. Great experiences, you know, we always talk about, I just want my kid to have a good experience. I just want my son to have a good experience. Don't forget that some of the best experiences we can have can be hard. They can be difficult. They can be challenging. They can be uncomfortable. And then we can persevere and go through. Right. And some of those are the best. Some of the best experiences you had in your life are not all flowers, candy, and roses. They're when things are challenging and we fight through and get a better result or we learn something important. Right. And so just remember that great experience is not always the happy, good stuff. Sometimes it's how we work our child through a challenging situation. Yeah, your teammates aren't very good, son, but what are you going to do about it? Are you going to get mad at them? You're going to yell at them? What are you going to do? Are you going to help them? You're going to encourage them, try to get more out of them? What can we do? Yeah, I know that play call didn't seem right, but, you know, we still could have executed it better. You could have executed that better. You could have helped your teammates learn that better in practice instead of fooling around. We can do better. Sometimes great experiences are the opportunities to learn. Number 3, would you rather be right or effective? I love to be right. I don't know about you, but I love it. It feels good. Okay, I'm really smart at basketball. I played it at a high level. I coached it at a high level for a very long time. And when I go to watch a varsity basketball game, I know exactly what they're doing wrong. And you know what? I'm right about it. I'm not even going to lie. I'm probably right about it. And I can tell people like, hey, he should have done this, should have had this sub, probably could have run this play. They should have something that goes like, okay, I know all that, right? But it's not effective for me to tell other people in the stands what's wrong with our coach. It's not effective for me to tell other people in the stands, you know, how they should have done something better and how smart I am. That's not effective. It's not helpful. It breaks down the program. It breaks down another individual. We talk behind someone's back, but you know what? It feels good to be right. And so I just encourage you, what do these kids need? What do these coaches need? This is middle school basketball. And I even gave you the example of varsity, but this is middle school. What do they need? They don't need you to be right and tell them why they're wrong. They need you to be effective. They need you to care for them, encourage them, right? The coaching isn't going to be perfect. The play calls aren't going to be perfect. The execution isn't going to be perfect, right? The refs aren't going to be perfect. But it's more important to be effective than to be right. And you forget as you're telling the person next to you what should have happened, that maybe the coach's mom is sitting in front of you. And you forget that maybe as you're telling the person next to you that kid's parents are right behind you, listening to you have that conversation about them. So in that space, it really feels embarrassing to be right because you're embarrassing yourself and you're talking bad about another person in our community. Be effective, be positive, encourage. If you don't have anything good to say, my parents used to say, don't say anything. That's fine too. Be positive, be effective. This isn't club sports. Club sports is super important. It's great for development. It's great for individual improvement. It's great to play a lot of games and maybe get a practice or two in there, but play a lot. It's very important. But this isn't club. Okay, this is educational athletics. So what that means is that we are after things much more than individual accolades, individual improvement. Okay. We are after the opportunity to sacrifice, to serve others, to grow together, to represent a community of people, not just represent yourself, but to put Christ on display, to learn about how to be on a team, learn how to work together to get something done, do extra work to improve. That's educational athletics. Okay. It is not individual self-promotion. So sometimes people take a club sport attitude into educational athletics. And when you do that, you're not staying in the right lanes, because when you take the idea of individualism, individual improvement, accolades, and how can I get my kid to be the very best individually as possible, and we put that into club sports, it clashes in a weird way, right? Just like if you take, hey, sacrifice for a brother, team, growth, let's all work together to do this. Let's do this big thing for this club sport community. It just doesn't ring right? When you bring that attitude in, you're going to get run over in club sports because it's all about the individual and getting the individual better, right? And so you want to stay in the lane. Just remember, this isn't club. This is educational athletics, okay? This is something where we're trying to do things together for each other. You might play positions that you don't usually play on your club team. You might have to play in a rotation or a different role that you're not used to. It's about our team. The coach's job is to take who they have, the good and the bad of those teams, and put it together for the best possible outcome. That might be different than what you think, but remember, this isn't about individual accolades and improvement. This is about educational athletics. How do we make teams? Okay, how do we make the best version of our teams? What did Coach say when he asked you about that? The reason I write that is because when people forget about being right or effective and they start talking to you negative about something, one of the things you can say to put it back in the right place, which is an issue a person is having maybe with a coach, is, well, what did coach say when you asked them a question about that? Instead of contributing to their feeling or conversation. All right. Now, sometimes when it's positive, like, isn't coach great? Oh yeah, you pile on that because we want to pile on positivity. But when things start to go negative, just like you'd encourage your kids in school, you don't want your kids to gossip and go negative. So here's a great way to say, well, what did coach say when you asked them about that? Just check in with coach on that. Direct them back in a positive way to where they should bring that. Don't engage and talk about that negativity or gossip. And then finally, approaching coach, I have not now, not in person. So after a game is literally the worst time. Okay. Like if you want to have a bad interaction with coach, one that's going to be combative and messed up and probably not go well, which I don't think we want. Sometimes you might feel like you want to have an interaction, but then you're just going to be mad that it didn't go well. That's why we tell you not to talk to a coach after a game. If after a game, just tell coach, hey, great job. I wonder if I can connect with you on a different day. Can I send you an email? And the reason I say that is start with the email, start with something kind, ask a couple of questions, but don't do it right now. Okay. Because nobody, when you're surprised in things, it doesn't go well. Okay. Being surprised never goes well. And we want people to be their best when we're talking about someone as important as your child. Okay. So again, when you approach coach, take a minute, wait till the next day. All right. And then send a note of like, hey, could I ask you a question? Can I give you a quick call? Just had a quick question for you. Ask a question. Don't tell them what they're doing right. Don't tell them what they're doing wrong. Don't tell them how they messed up. Just ask a question and give the coach an opportunity to communicate back when they're in a little bit better state of calm and preparation. Okay. That's a good way to work with coach. And then to wrap up tonight, couple things about being a spectator. Again, people get weird in the crowd and, it's normal and natural, but I would just submit to you that maybe to put Christ on display at Grand Rapids Christian, we have to not be normal. We have to not be like everybody else. Maybe we have to be different because Christians were called to be different. So number one, the best way to be different, love the officials. Don't hate on the officials. Who do you think we get in our middle school? We ain't getting the best officials in the state of Michigan. You can go to the varsity game and hate the officials, and they're the best officials in the state, right? Because they're reffing varsity games. Who do you think we get on the middle school level? We get the new coaches, the new officials, the new everybody's, right? So just leave them alone. Thank them for being there. We've had to cancel games because we don't have officials to officiate, right? Officials don't want to officiate because the parents and the coaches yell at them. It's never the kids, it's the parents and the coaches. So please love the officials. When you see an official, thank them for officiating. Even if they were the worst official in the world, say, thanks for being here so we could have a game tonight. Thank you. I would love for Grand Rapids Christian to put that into the universe for officials, that we appreciate them for the job that they're doing. 2, if you coach your kid from the stands, your kid loses, period. Here's how they lose. They know they have to listen to coach. So they're trying to do what coach said, okay? You then are coaching them from the stands, telling them something different. So now they have to decide, who am I going to listen to? If I listen to dad or mom from the stands, I'm not listening to coach, and coach is watching me look into the crowd and talk to my dad and mom. Nothing makes a coach more frustrated when they're talking to dad and mom in the stands instead of the coach that coaches them 4 days a week, right? And so when you coach your kids, your child will lose. They will lose one way or another. They'll lose with their coach, or they'll ignore you and you'll be mad at them for ignoring you, but they'll be good with coach. So you put them in a position where they're only going to lose, okay? And so my encouragement for you is coach your child, but don't coach them while they're on the basketball court. Coach them when you're in the car, when you're at home, when you're doing something different, okay? But don't coach them when they're there. We certainly would not want a coach to come to your house, just like you come to their basketball court, and then tell you how to parent, right? They're not qualified to do that, just like you're not the coach. So don't coach your kid in their space. So that's my encouragement to you. Don't coach your kid from the stands. Encourage your kid. Enjoy your child. Encourage the other people. Don't coach them. Coach later. Jesus sits next to you. We put Christ on display. You know, if he was sitting next to you, you'd be the most positive encourager you've ever seen. I know you would, because you'd want to impress Jesus. Just think about that. Be neutral or encouraging. Like I said, if you don't have something good to say, don't say it, or encourage. And I even encourage the other teams. I even love when the other teams do something great, because the more positivity that comes out of me, the happier I feel and the more positive I become. And so I want to put positivity into the world, not negativity. It's more important to be effective than to be right. Remember that. It's not about you being right and telling all the parents around you how the coach screwed up and how he should have played this lineup or anything like that. It's more important for you to be effective and encourage. And remember to have fun and smile. Your child just wants you to watch. They just want you to see them participate. That's why they love grandparents so much, because grandparents don't tell them how to be better all the time. They just say, this was so much fun for us to be here. And your kids love it. So just remember, have fun, smile. This is about development. It's not about championships. It's about development. This is middle school. We're just trying to have fun and learn and grow and be the best that we can be at the same time. Okay. So just to recap, coach will connect with you this week. We have our coach meeting tonight. And then he or she will connect with you this week about team formation next week. And then also this weekend, they'll send another reminder to you about team formation week next week. And then also remember that after team formation is done, you'll be put onto one of the teams. And then you will have a dedicated coach that you're going to work with the rest of the season, hopefully in a positive way. So let's put Christ on display in a positive way, and let's have a great year. Go Eagles. If you got to go, you can go. If you got a question for me, unmute yourself and ask, and we'll do our best. Okay. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And if you have any questions, go ahead and unmute and ask.
Thanks, Kevin. John Sherrill here. Just really appreciate your leadership. No questions. Just thankful for all you do.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. See you out there for sure. Thanks for signing the boys up. Okay, I don't hear any other questions, so I'm just gonna end the meeting. And if you have something, you have my email, you're welcome to just send me a quick email if you'd like. Thanks again. Have a great day. See you out there.